Hey everyone, it's Haley, and today I'm going to be talking all about reading slumps. So if you guys have been watching my videos for a while now this year, then you guys would know that I was kind of in a terrible reading slump basically for a few months, and I just couldn't really pick anything up if it wasn't for school. I was just reading a lot slower than I usually would. Basically, I could only describe my reading style as lethargic at the time. Like, I just didn't want to do it, I couldn't do it, so it was just kind of a mess. So I did get out of that slump, and today I'm going to be giving you guys my tips for what to do if you're in a reading slump and how to get out of it. So my first tip is audiobooks. Audiobooks are literally your saving grace whenever you don't have time to read or you just don't really feel like reading. You can really easily just put on an audiobook and you can read without actually like having a book in your hands and flipping the pages, because I know sometimes if I would be reading like a lot of books and a lot of big books, then I would get kind of tired of just sitting there and like I would feel like I was moving through these books at a glacial pace. So using an audiobook is just a really great way to kind of feel like you're speeding up your reading and you're actually getting something done. Now I know that audiobooks aren't for everyone, but I personally love them, and one of my favorite ways to read audiobooks is to, or listen to them rather, is when I'm coloring in a coloring book. You can just color in your coloring book, put on an audiobook, and that way you're able to fully absorb what's being said in the audiobook and you're not getting distracted by other things, but at the same time you're doing something else, and it's kind of just a nice way to unwind after a hard day of work or school or whatever you're doing. Audiobooks are just honestly the best, and it's really awesome to like listen to your audiobook and then go and look at how far you've gone in like an actual physical book, and you realize that you've actually been reading a lot even though you haven't been really reading, if that makes sense. So I normally get my audiobooks from my library. My library has a really great selection of audiobooks, and I really just go crazy with audiobooks because they have so many, but there are lots of great places to get audiobooks. Audible.com is one of the places. That's probably the main place. Check your local library. They might have some audiobooks online that you can get, and you can also look for royalty-free audiobooks, which are ones like LibriVox is like this free app that you can download, and they have like a bunch of classics that there's no copyright on anymore, so it's not illegal or anything, but it's just a really great way to get reading. I just really encourage you to look into audiobooks and kind of find out if they are for you. My next tip is to choose smaller books if you are going to try and read. So if you're gonna try and read and you've been feeling really slumpy lately, don't go for like Throne of Glass. Do not pick up Throne of Glass if you're in a reading slump. That's like the worst decision you can possibly make, because those books are really fabulous, but they're kind of slow to get through. So pick up a book that is small, super quick. Definitely quick contemporaries are my go-to whenever I'm in a reading slump. So my book that got me out of my most recent reading slump was The Geography of You and Me by Jennifer E. Smith. Super cute, super quick. Wasn't the best book in the world, but you know what? It did the trick. Like, it got me reading again, and I just felt like I was flying through it. So look for books that you feel like are going to be really quick. Contemporaries are definitely the best for that because you don't really have to think too much into it, whereas with like fantasy, you have to kind of get yourself into the world and try and understand it. So if you're trying to read a big fantasy book while you're in a reading slump, you're just gonna burn yourself out and you're gonna make the slump even longer. It just won't work. If you guys wanted me to do a recommendations video on quicker contemporaries, or like books that I read really quickly, or books that got me out of a reading slump, then let me know and I will do that for you guys. But just some quick examples are Everything by Nicola Yoon, Anna and the French Kiss by Stephanie Perkins, any of the 3 books in that trilogy. The Selection series by Kiera Cass, that one is technically a dystopian, but really it's just kind of a cute romance, and I flew through those books. My next tip is to embrace the reading slump. Sometimes you just have to give in and accept the fact that you're not really in the mood to read right now, and that's okay. You're not gonna stay like that forever. You'll eventually want to read again, but you have to just kind of not be too hard on yourself and let yourself get back into reading slowly. Don't try and push it. Just try and embrace the slump a little bit, and then it will make it a lot easier when you're getting out of it. If you're a slow reader and you're in a reading slump, don't try and read really fast. Just kind of try and take your time with books and let yourself just ease into reading again. Get yourself comfortable, like go in your favorite reading spot, whether it's outside or on your bed, in your living room, wherever you have that you like to read. Get a cup of coffee, a cup of tea, whatever you like drinking, and a nice little snack, and just sit there and try and read again, and you'll be comfortable, and it might really help you get into reading again. My final tip though is one that I mention in every video where I talk about reading and how to read more, and that is to bring a book with you everywhere you go. You never know when you're gonna have spare time to read, or you're gonna be waiting for something, and I find whenever I bring a book with me everywhere I go, but like there are a couple times where I'll forget it, and those are always the times where I have like half an hour of waiting time and I'm just sitting there scrolling through my phone doing nothing productive with my time. So rather than sitting there scrolling through your phone on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff, which I love, but rather than doing that, you'll have a book that you can pull out and read, and time will go by a lot faster when you're reading because you're gonna get super absorbed in the book. So it's a win-win all around. So those are all of my tips for those of you who are in a reading slump, whether you're trying to get out of it or you're just kind of starting off with it. Don't be discouraged. You will get out of it. I believe in you. I got out of mine and it was awful and it seemed like the end of the world, but it is not the end of the world. I have faith in you. Alright, so I hope these tips were helpful for you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye!